Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So this video here is a continuation from the previous one where we're doing a full bare metal respray on this white pearl Nissan Patrol. The color code is QAC, and in the previous video we stripped it all back to bare metal, got all the different primers, cleaned up all the edges, and yeah, like I say, we're continuing straight on where we left off from there. So I do bake the primers for 20 minutes. I don't like to go too hot, so one thing that you can do if you're not careful with any paint really, if you go too hot too quick, you can it can sort of pickle up and you can get some solvent boil. So that's one thing that I've been on lately is yeah, not overdoing it with the baking, but I give it a 20-minute bake at around 60 degrees, but I'll leave it at 30 to flush off for maybe 10 minutes first. That's all the different primers, and then I'll give it like that 20-minute bake and then still leave it overnight. So I do like those primers to sort of gas out and cure up nicely. Leaving it overnight also helps too. And then we'll give it a quick chop back with 500 grit and then go over the edges with 500 and 400 grit. So you may have noticed that I used a couple of different edge sanding sandpapers. So I used the 500 Gold Flex. I find that they do a bit more of a, they cut the orange peel out a bit better, but the 400 grit on the 3M grippy, they're good for just scuffing the edges over. If the orange peel doesn't really bother you that much, like a little bit of orange peel on an edge isn't necessarily always the end of the world on a respray. So obviously, depending on the kind of job that you're doing, you're going to yeah, change your methods up a little bit. And speaking about changing up methods, what I'm doing here is on this job, I started to do something different. So what I noticed was only on the 3-layer pearls was I getting a lot of sort of fisheye, some sort of a fisheye reaction. So I thought, you know what, I thought it might be tied to the bake, and it turns out I was right. So what I would do, I would put my Onevisit ground coat, so the white down, I'd do that in the Onevisit. I would then put 2 coats of the pearl down. I would then bake the, you know, the 2 layers prior to putting the clear coat on. But then when I would put my clear coat on, I would get this reaction. So I thought, I wonder if it's the bake, I wonder if it's hitting it too early, again, like what I was saying, maybe baking it too early. So what I did on this job here, I didn't bake the roof and the bonnet at all prior to clear coat. Now the reason I do that is because if you don't, and you clear it too fast, you'll get a bit of drop back, like gloss drop, right? And if you hang around for a few minutes, you'll see exactly what I mean. Turns out I ended up actually having to flow coat the bonnet because I just wasn't happy with it. Now it looks fine now, but then give it a couple of days, the waterborne paint will just pull the life out of that clear. Even though it was, like, I left it at 30 degrees for like an hour. I specifically left it that little bit longer thinking, hey, this could be the solution to both minimize or remove gloss drop, but also remove those silicon reactions which I was telling you about. Turns out it did remove the silicon reactions, but it did not remove the gloss drop. So what I ended up doing on the body of the car is something that did end up working. So I've got the solution, and the solution was to leave it for minimum 20 minutes at 30 degrees and then just give it the bake. And again, a lower bake, so 45, 50 degrees. For say 10 minutes, so that eliminated most of the fisheyes. I did get a couple, but it also deleted the gloss drop, so I was pretty happy with it. Look, sometimes it's just that's what I said to one of my co-workers. I'm like, man, that's just the price of doing business. Sometimes you just gotta say you're gonna get a couple of imperfections, you're gonna get a couple of fisheyes every now and then. But what you see me doing here is I noticed it straight away. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, but I did a bit of troubleshooting. It turns out there was a funky tinter. So a brand new tinter from PPG is T400, and it just had grit all through it. And that one tinter ended up tainting like 4 liters worth of paint. Because, you know, I mix the batches together. So this is obviously a 3-stage pearl, and you may have also noticed that we're painting the doors at the same time. That's for a specific reason, to make sure the color matches, right? On a solid color or a even just a standard 2-stage metallic, Often I'll do the body separately and then the doors straight away after, just because, you know, it's a busy day. Like, it's a big day to do the paint job. Also, it's a busy booth. Like, if you actually take note of how much room we've got in that booth to paint a car, a 4-wheel drive with all the doors off in the same booth is it's a decent sized job. So as you see here, I've refiltered it. Turns out it's still there. Have a look at that. It's still getting these tiny little. It's like you've thrown sand through the paint. So then I go in and mix another fresh batch up, and it was still there. So we did end up narrowing it down to that one tinter, thankfully. But, you know, look, PPG were great about it. They're just like, hey, give us, like, put the tinter to the side. We're just going to replace it. And, of course, they did. And I'm like, man, you've got to replace two because you've tainted all this other color. Like, it has tainted all this other color that I've mixed it with, right? So they're cool about it. It's really not a big deal. It happens, right? And I'm glad that we were able to identify the issue and overcome it without, ruining the car. But the job did have to get put off for a day, so I had to leave it in the booth and then wait for the replacement tinter to come out overnight and just continue on with the job. So not really a major deal, but as you may have noticed, I just gave the base coat that was contaminated a quick scuff down with a piece of 1500 grit microfine sandpaper. Give that a scuff down just to remove those little pimple type spots. But the spray gun that I'm using is the A&I Tronic base. From memory, I was running it at 2.5 bar pressure. You can probably see that screen better than I can, but to a certain degree, I sort of make it up as I go, if that makes sense. Like, when I get a new gun, I'll just do what feels right and looks right and sort of adjust from there. So I did notice that on the second coat, I like to drop the pressure down. So especially with the pearls, I don't like the pressure to be too high on the second coat. But first coat, I do like to just sort of smash it on, right? So that's, first coat of pearl. Smash it on, high pressure, it's going to go on faster. And you can probably see the pressure that I'm running there. But full fan, full fluid. Nice big fan on this spray gun. And it's a pleasure to spray with. I really enjoy painting with it. And another cool thing is that they're not going to break the bank. They are a fraction of the price of some of the high-end spray guns on the market these days. Another really important step is getting the viscosity and the thickness of your paint correct. So most of the year around here in Melbourne, it's pretty cold. So I've got myself a microwave and a temperature gun. So there you can see 92 if you're in America, or 30 to 35. Like, if you are want to go beast mode and get the absolute flattest, use at own risk, especially if you're using any fast clears. But I've found 35 degrees will get the flattest, glassiest clear you can get. But there you go, there's the microwave. I whack it in the microwave. Of course, it's like depending on how warm the clear is when you go into the microwave, how powerful your microwave is, how much clear you're going. I can't tell you how long it's going to take to get to a certain temperature. That's why I do recommend using a bit of common sense. Start less is better than more, because you can always heat it up a little bit more, but you can't pull that temperature out as easy, and get yourself that temperature gun. So heating the clear up does a couple of things. It will thin it out, but it'll also help it flow on the panel a lot nicer, and it'll also help it flash off between coats, because it's already warm. It's going to go on nice and glassy and flat, but then as soon as it's on, it's going to go bang, okay, I'm ready to start drying, rather than going on thick and chunky and then potentially sort of hanging because it's still cold and it's not drying as fast. So I've found 30 to 35 is pretty much perfect. Now I mentioned in another previous video that I spray my first coat and second coat differently. First coat I spray at 2.9 or 3 bar on this gun. If it was a different gun, it would be less, but these A&Is do like to operate on high pressure. So 2.9 to 3 bar on the first coat. So the idea is just smashing it on nice and thin, a thin coat. That's what I'm going for. So I'm introducing minimal to no orange peel on that first coat. It's sort of just a setup coat. Like, it's basically something for the second coat to grip to, and then when we do come to the second coat, again, I don't need to leave it, I don't specifically wait in between coats, but for starters, by the time you've started and you've gone back around, there's just about 5 or more minutes anyway. And also you've got the warm clear, warm booth. I like to clear at 35 degrees, so as you can see there, 2.4, 2.5 bar. And then this second coat, I've actually found that I use double the amount of clear. It's pretty much exactly right. I'll use double the amount of clear on the second coat as the first coat. So also, I don't necessarily go hard on all of the edges on the first coat. I've found these days, sometimes less is more, and if you want the nice edges, then you don't want to overload them. I still remember painting these very vividly. It was a couple of weeks ago now, but I was just like present in the moment and enjoying it, like not wanting that moment to end. Just having so much fun laying that clear coat down because it was just going on so nicely. Nice warm clear, nice big fan on the spray gun. Fully protected in my air-fed respirator and, you know, full spray suit that I've got. I even wear like a hood these days, so that's another relatively recent addition. I'm constantly, you know, it might only be like each time you'll do like a 1% tweak, but as I've said in the past, those 1% add up, and next thing you know, you're 50% better than what you were in the past. Like if you go back to watch, how I used to spray these, it's a massive improvement. It really is. Like, yeah, what I was doing a year ago to now is, heaps better. So have a look at that, guys. That's it when it's all cleared up. Looking amazing. Nice flat clear coat, nice tight finish to it, so it's not, you haven't introduced like a heavy orange peel. But that is pretty much perfect for these cars, right? This is pretty much what they look like. We've got the paint thicknesses on point, if not a little bit of an improvement from factory. Some of them from factory, I actually don't think that they put enough on. They're between like 70 and 100, but we go generally between 100 and 150 microns, which is better because just putting a little bit more material on there is good, but there is obviously a limit to how much material you should be putting on a car, because as I say, sometimes with paint, less is better. And if you just go thinking, oh, I'll just pump all this clear onto a bonnet or whatever, and then it goes and solvent boils on you, your clear will actually degrade faster than the guy that just put a nice 2 on, had a minor little bit of orange peel, because what you've done with solvent boil is they're actually tiny little air bubbles inside the paint, so they will then go and pop, and then you've actually exposed the inside of your paint to the elements, so your paint will actually degrade much faster than the non-solvent boiled paint. So if I ever get solvent boil, which I really don't get much anymore, because I actually see solvent boil as probably the worst paint defect that you can get. And yeah, because I'm so I feel so strongly about avoiding it, I know how to avoid it. Look, I've had it plenty in the past. That's the way that we learn. What do they say? They say the difference between a successful person and someone who's not successful is that the successful person has made the mistakes and pushed on through despite them. And that's true when it comes to spray painting. I've made all the mistakes, believe you me. I've made, sometimes I look back and I'm like, man, I've made that mistake one too many times. Like, I should have learnt by now, but, you know, you just got to stay humble, I guess, and just admit when you were wrong. It's always hard. Nobody likes to say that they were wrong, but sometimes you just got to say, oh, messed up there, move on, fix it. How am I going to stop doing that next time? But yeah, this is that bonnet that I was mentioning. So, like, it looked fine the day after I painted it, but as you can see there, the gloss just died. Like, if you look at the lights there, the reflection on the lights, the gloss, I just wasn't happy with it. So I just said to the manager, I'm like, man, what do you reckon? Just chop it back and give it another couple of coats of clear? He's like, yep, just do it. So we've got a good rule of thumb in this shop, right? If you have to, I come up with this one myself, right? If you have to ask, you know the answer, right? So I knew the answer and I did ask, right? But yeah, that's why I was just gonna do it, but I just run it past him anyway. It's like, nah, let's just follow your rule of thumb. If you have to ask, you know the answer, which is just do it. So yeah, we know the quality that is required at this shop, and it is a little bit, well, it's definitely higher than your standard shop. We just do good quality work, and keep the clients happy. So as you can see, a pretty straightforward job here to give it a flow coat. Just same thing, heat the clear up, nice warm booth, chop it back, give it a quick mask up, 2 coats. The amount of time that takes, it's really not that much, and we'll always be able to sort of fit it in with another job. We've got a nice big spray booth, as you probably noticed. It's literally probably 15 minutes of work, and maybe 650 mils of clear generally for a bonnet that size. So there you go. As you can see, fitted it in with another job. There was some primer work up there, primed the jobs up there, covered that with a piece of plastic while I was waiting. They all got baked out at the same time. Nice glossy finish, no solvent boil, no paint defects in it. He'll give it a quick buff up, and happy days. Client will be more than happy. Years ago when I had my own shop over there in Perth, we did this HQ, we did a respray on a black HQ, and the owner of that, John, he's got himself a little Instagram page, Swan Valley Customs, but he said to me, he goes, look, the owner might not know how you did a good job, but he will know the difference between a good job and a bad job. So that's one of those little, sort of things that stuck with me, and it's a good one, I reckon. Like, yeah, the owner might not know how you did it, but they will know by looking at a job. They'll be like, no, that's a good paint job. I think most people will be able to look at that car and say, no, that is a good paint job, and they will know the difference between that and the other one. They might not know exactly all the details of how to get it, but they know, what they're looking at, I guess. So, yep, that's what we do. We do good quality paint jobs. As you can see, spray the door jambs. That's another little thing. Take that extra little step to spray those door jambs. And then I do put the clear coat just up to the back edge of the front door jamb. But, it always comes up really nice. Sprayed that full rear door jamb. Again, that's another little addition that I started doing. I never used to do that. But yeah, those little 1%ers that stack, have a look at that. Nice glassy, good gloss retention. And again, that's what I did on this job. This job was the pioneer of that. Leaving it for 20 minutes and then just giving it a short bake, and it worked a treat. I did still get 1 or 2 little fish eyes, but it's much better than what we'd had in the past. What we had in the past was getting a little bit too much. You can fill them up, that's what we have to do. You just sand them back with a bit of 3000 grit, put a bit of clear coat in it, leave it overnight, and then grab your tungsten and sand it back flat. And you can always fix them, but you'd rather not have to. But yeah, next video, we've got the CX3 parts that you see sitting around there. Got a full updated procedure on the Sol Red Crystal resprays, and I have definitely done a couple of improvements on that procedure. So that'll be 1 or 2 videos. But yeah, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the improvement on the quality content that I've been putting up lately. I feel like I'm reinvigorated. I've carved out a little bit of time during the week, and loving putting the energy back into the channel again. I feel like I did sort of let it go for a little bit there, but yeah, I'm back, baby. So if you want to support the show, be sure to go and check out the link in the description. You can go and get yourself some Gunman merchandise, hats, drink coolers, all that jazz, and even Gunman spray overalls. And we've also got a Gunman spray gun coming, so save all your pennies for that. But until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.